Hi everyone, I'm Sabine and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my first sketchbook tour of this little Travelogue sketchbook coming right up. Alright, and now the moment you've all been waiting for, my first sketchbook tour. So this is my Travelogue sketchbook. This book was about half finished when I started, probably a little bit more, but I was only drawing on one side of the page initially. And I decided when I wanted to do my sketchbook challenge that I was going to draw on both sides of the page, or at least try to draw on both sides of the page with this book, because the paper is really thick and I just wanted to see how it would turn out. I did decide that I was not going to go backwards in this book though. I did not want to go back in time and start doing things next to old pages. I thought I'm just going to leave it and I'll just start from the unfinished part and go right to the end, draw on both sides of the page, and that will be that. There are a couple pages in the front though that I did do, and this is one of them. You will have seen this if you saw my ideas for the first pages in your sketchbook. I have a speed paint of this in that video, so if you want to watch it, I'll put a link in the cards. And every star that is in this picture represents a page that I finished in this sketchbook. And it's really satisfying to see all the dots and to know that this book is finished, and this is what the finished product looks like. This is the other page I had left blank at the beginning of my sketchbook, and I just went back and did sort of another title page. Now, as we go through the sketchbook, there are a few pages that I'm going to cut out of the video. They contain personal information, and I just don't feel comfortable having that out there. So, you know, if you see me covering up a page, that's why. All right, starting things off, I have what used to be an old LARP character of mine. LARP is live action roleplay, and that's how I spent my misspent youth. This is a character of mine, sort of based off an African wild dog. This is another character, nothing specific. I guess I was just drawing a little goat boy. Sometimes I do typography and things like that in my sketchbooks. I do like to play around with that. I kind of remember doing these on the bus on my way to work. I was just playing around with different line thicknesses and a much more stylized drawing of animal. I really kind of like how these turned out. They were really neat. And this fox here is sort of the same idea as the rabbit, and I like the way he turned out. It was really cool. Here is a lion that I didn't finish. I think I was gonna, you can see there's some flowers in his mane. I was probably going to go with like a floral motif for that. Here I am trying to draw robots. This is a rabbit actually driving a mech suit, and I guess I was trying to do something different because I don't really know how to draw robots or any kind of machinery, so I was just goofing around with that idea. Now these are from back when I was doing leatherworking. I used to make lots of bags, and this is for a bracelet. So at what point I was thinking about trying to turn it into a business. It never really got off the ground because for me it was a hobby, but at this point in time I was thinking about turning it into a business. And so I was just doing a whole bunch of concept sketches for things that I could make. More business ideas, just there's going to be quite a bit of this. I was trying to come up with a logo. You know, clearly I like animals and plants, so I was drawing all different kinds of things, trying to come up with a name and a brand identity for my business that never got off the ground. I actually really like this hoof print idea, which was what I think started with imprint, and then I was just drawing like goats and ivy, and you can kind of see my brain progress from one thing to another with this, because I just did a whole bunch of drawings in succession. And then going from goats to some other hooved animals. Again, I really like unicorns. And This was actually a cutout I ended up doing on a bag. It was probably way too complicated, so it didn't really look that good. I probably should have gone with a simpler design, but you know, I wanted to have a bag that had a unicorn on it, and this was the design idea I had for it. Okay, so out and about. When I lived in Toronto, this is from the AGO, which is the Art Gallery of Ontario, and they have all kinds of historical paintings and objects. And this is a Tlingit wolf forehead mask from Alaska, and I just thought it looked super cool, so I drew it for my own reference. I also really like amphibians. I like frogs, toads, salamanders, and mushrooms. I like drawing mushrooms for some reason, in case you haven't figured that out by now. And yeah, this was just playing with various line thicknesses. This was all done in fine liner, so I was just going over this back and forth over and over again to get that line thickness. Here we have another LARP character. This is one that I think I actually played for quite a while, and her name's Lila. She's sort of based off of Fennec Fox, and this is kind of based more off of what I actually looked like while playing the character. Playing with various line thicknesses again, but I think these are different widths of pen that I was sketching with. This is doing some life drawing from the Hyde Park Zoo. I think this is a Barbary goat. More life drawing. This was a Highland cattle calf. He was so cute. I think he was probably not very active, which is why I actually got an opportunity to draw him. I don't really know what happened here. I was trying to draw some kind of crow or something, but I mean, I wasn't using reference, so it just looks kind of awful. Here I got some colored fine liners, and I was just playing around with them, doing some geometric patterns and textures, and you know, just doodling, having a good time. Yeah, this drawing I remember doing in the emergency room in 2013. I don't have a date on this, but I could tell when it's from because I remember drawing it. In 2013, I broke my leg, and I spent a lot of time in and out of the hospital. I was in casts for a long time. I had a lot of different casts, and this I drew while I was waiting to get recasted at one point. I drew this to try and calm down because I really hate being in the hospital. Pretty sure I was drawing from life here, and I think I got distracted or bored and just I kind of gave up because like there's only one tree, like only half the pages, not even half the page is drawn on. And oak leaf because I love drawing leaves. I think this was an idea I had for some kind of mythical deer creature. I really like drawing deer a lot and mythical animals like unicorns and stuff like that. So, and this is like no reference was used in this. It was just a really quick idea that I was having. Going back to the geometric shapes and the fine liners, I really love doing sort of these heavy lined floral motifs. I actually wish I had done more of this. It's really neat looking. I think I had problems with the different colors running into each other, but the idea for this is really cool and I really like it. So this is where I started to get frustrated with this sketchbook. I was trying to draw some Celtic knots and I hated how this turned out. I can't even explain why I hated it so much. I just was like, this looks terrible and nothing like what I was going for. That was a bad drawing in my opinion. And then I drew this. This I was trying to do for Inktober back in 2016. I was trying to come up with a concept to post something, and I was not working on a theme or anything that year. I was just trying to come up with random ideas, which turned out to be a terrible idea because, you know, I hit this and I was like, this is stupid. This is a bad idea, and like I can't post this. I can't, you know, I feel pressured to try and put the most professional foot forward that I can. So when I screw up or do something like this that I'm not happy with, That leaves me with nothing to work with, and I got really frustrated. And then I didn't draw in this sketchbook for almost another 2 years. So this is the point where I started my sketchbook challenge, and I started drawing on both sides of the page. As we can see here, I started off in this sketchbook not very serious. I just thought, I'm gonna draw some Pokemon. For whatever reason, it was probably on my mind. You know, coming up with things to draw for this challenge was a challenge in itself, and I was probably playing Pokemon Go or something, and I just thought, I'll draw some Pokemon. That's easy, right? And I really do like their designs. They're really simple, but in that vein, I think it is good to draw other people's designs, you know, to do fan art, basically. If something is really kind of successful in its design, when you draw it yourself, you learn how those things are broken down or put together, and it's just a really good practice to try drawing other people's designs. And, you know, that's perfect for a sketchbook. Nobody sees it unless you're a YouTube rock star like I am. This is horrible, by the way. Don't look at me. Another thing I wanted to do more of with my sketchbook challenge was drawing just everyday objects, because I guess I just don't have experience with that, and I wanted to brush up a little bit. And then I went back to my old tried and true, which is animals, and I went on this sea life kick. I basically went through all my vacation photos from Kelly Tarleton's, which is an aquarium in Auckland, and I picked out a whole bunch of stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna draw all these cute little animals, and that's gonna fill up so many pages. So I started with the seahorses. I love seahorses, they're adorable. And this is actually the same seahorse, but I just really liked how the composition of the black and white one turned out. Here I'm using some colored pencils, and then I drew some sea turtles, also from Kelly Tarleton's. And this is a colored pencil, and I used pastel in the background. And then I used a fixative, of course, over top so that it wouldn't go all crazy on me. Now, at this point, I had learned that, oh, this paper can actually take water. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna try doing, this is gouache and this is watercolor. So I just did some light washes in the background, and then, you know, experimented doing some glazing over top, and it worked. I was pretty pleased with it. Like I said, because I used fixative on the back of this page, it's kind of warped and crinkly, and I wasn't able to flatten it, and that drives me crazy, but what can you do? Back to the aquatic theme, drawing some pufferfish. And then I thought, isn't there a Pokemon that's based off of the pufferfish? And when you have to draw 5 pages a day, sometimes it's like, yeah, I'm gonna keep working on the same theme here, because I've got 3 other pages to draw yet, and I need to fill this up, so I drew another Pokemon. And then this was a really cool translucent angelfish, and the lighting in the aquarium was really neat, and the coral in the background was this like light pink and purple, and I just wanted to capture the color of that. And I think this is the only one that I didn't base off a photograph of mine. It's probably from Google, because I like the colors, they sort of matched, and I thought, yeah, I'm gonna finish that, and then we will be done with the aquatic life drawings. This is from a photo of mine. It's an iris or a Canadian flag. This is a colored pencil. And this I did in gouache. This was when I started painting in gouache, and like the paper was quite wet, and I was just kind of seeing how the gouache reacted to the wet paper. I do watercolor a lot. I'm very familiar with watercolor, but in learning gouache, I kind of had to play around with it just to get a feel for the medium. Now, this is August 31st, and this was the end of summer, and this was kind of the first time I really gotten away from either copying someone else's pictures or designs or copying my photos and just drew something that was emotional for me. I haven't done that for a long time, so it was really nice to take a feeling that I was having. I was kind of sad that summer was over, even though it was scorching hot, which I didn't like. But at the same time, I had a lot of fun this summer, and I thought, I'm gonna miss this. So I drew this to capture that feeling that I had. I haven't done that in forever, and it was just really nice. And this here is just from a photo of a deer that we've had on our field bed. Okay, now we're getting into Drawlloween. You'll probably have seen this already because this is day 1. So if you're following me on social media, you'll have seen this. There's going to be a few Drawlloween drawings in this sketchbook. I think most of them you will have seen by the time the video is posted, but there's probably a couple that you will not have seen yet. So hey, you're lucky you're getting the sneak preview. And this is gouache again, working with blending and stuff like that. Just learning that, but I liked how this one turned out. This is Drawlloween again. I kind of went with a creepy vibe for this one. And this here is going back to daily objects, just regular daily stuff, me having my tea in the morning. This is a much more fanciful, again, kind of getting into things that are more personal and more just me jotting down ideas instead of trying to replicate something. Now these blueberries are also gouache, and I really did not like how this turned out. The gouache that I was using was old and not high quality, so I don't know if you could see it, but it's really grainy. Also, I was working very wet with this. Being used to watercolor, that's okay, but I just found with gouache when the paper was too wet, it did not take very nicely to the paper, and I don't know. It could be the paper quality, it could be my gouache quality, it could be a lot of things. Either way, I did not like how this turned out, but I learned a lot from doing it. Drawlloween, day 5. I think this might be the day that I posted the video. Anyway, wasn't totally happy with this, but it's sort of like, it's good enough and I don't want to redraw it, so I'm sticking with it. You'll see me drawing quite a bit in this sketchbook and others when you see this blue pencil. There's a blue, and on this page I did use the green, and I also have a red pencil. And these are done with Eagle Verithin pencils. They're actually colored pencils that were meant for writing, so they have a very hard lead. They're not like normal colored pencils. Normal colored pencils have very soft leads. And for some reason, I'm a total weirdo and I love drawing with hard leads. I love drawing with H pencils. So having hard colored pencils, and these are super creamy, like the texture is amazing to draw with them. I know it's very light, but I love them. I love them so much. So whenever you see those colors in my sketchbook, they're the Verithins. And this is gouache again, taking what I learned from the blueberries and kind of trying to apply it again. I kind of had an idea for this. I really wanted to turn it into a painting, but I can't quite seem to nail down the colors and the composition of it. Okay, so at this point, I was running out of ideas for sure. I went to like an art prompts page, and one of them was a carousel horse, and I thought, oh yeah, that's totally a cool idea. And then like one of them too, I think, was a standing stone. So I did that, and I really do like how these ones turned out. They're nice. I love sketching in pen. It's so convenient and you don't mess up your pages. Drawlloween again. But you will notice that this is not the final version of this drawing that went up. This is the only drawing so far that I have redone. I love the concept of this when I drew it, but I felt like I screwed up in the rendering process. There's just too many lines, and like this shoulder's wonky, and I don't know. There was just a bunch of stuff in it that I thought, oh god, this is gonna drive me nuts. I need to fix this. So this is one of the few drawings that I decided to redo. I am mostly going with like either funny or spooky, creepy for the Drawlloween prompts, but this one was very personal feeling. You know, my idea behind it is like, mom's a werewolf, but she doesn't really want to be a werewolf. And it's really kind of embarrassing. Yeah, you guys get to see the thought process that kind of went in behind the scenes. And then I drew a deer boy. I don't know, I see fawns drawn a lot, and they tend to be female and have horns, and I thought, no, if it has antlers, then it's a boy. So this is my deer boy. And I screwed up his face, but yeah, whatever. I like the rest of it. Girl with a top hat, random stuff I don't even know sometimes. what comes out of my brain. This is also Drawlloween. We have a fox. I did not like how this came out. I don't know, sometimes that happens when you're drawing in pen. It's like, well, I can't fix this. This is Drawlloween, lights, camera, axes. My interpretation of that kind of went along the lines of making a YouTube video because that's my life now. So here he is, the axe murderer has his own YouTube channel and he's helping you out on how to be a good axe murderer. Now for some reason, up until this point, I hadn't been drawing in spreads in this sketchbook. I have no idea why I didn't think of it sooner because I had been drawing in spreads in other sketchbooks. But I think because it's square, I just like idea. It's so much easier to draw in spreads because you only need one idea for 2 pages. So I'm really maximizing my mental energy, I think, when I do spreads. Here we have the Verathins again. This is the red color, and I drew this flower crown straight across the page. These are Verathins again. I really like drawing koi fish. Drawlloween. And here, okay, so going back to the Don't Look, Mom's a Werewolf, I thought, okay, I'm gonna redo this, but I kind of want to do it in ink for Inktober. This was, I think, the first time I really was experimenting with doing ink washes and doing some different colors, and it was definitely good for me to practice because ink is very different from everything else that I use. I mean, I use black ink all the time to make lines, but I don't really use it to color in things. So that was a first for me, and yeah, I started playing around with ink, which is kind of fun. And now that I'm used to it, I kind of like it. I will admit that. This is sort of the first little experiment, and yeah, it's kind of primitive, but that's okay. So going back to spreads and the fact that my mind is a dangerous place, and you know, these are all the little demons in my mind, just they're kind of at bay at the moment. Now we're getting really close to the end of the sketchbook. These are the last 3 pages, and at this point I totally ran out of gas. For some reason, I hit these pages and I just do a complete blank, and it was so hard to come up with an idea. Kind of like when you're starting a sketchbook. I think when you're finishing a sketchbook, you're like, ooh, yeah, only have a couple pages left. What am I gonna do? Oh, it should be nice. Like, shut up, brain. One thing did pop into my mind. That was a panda bear. I ran with it. I drew a panda, and then I drew some bamboo because I thought, oh, that goes nice together, right? And now the very last page. And I knew what I wanted to do for this. I wanted to do sort of a happy little thing, like, you did it, yay! Applejack is the best pony, fight me. So that's it for this sketchbook. I really hope you guys enjoyed listening to me as I went through it. I have no idea how interesting this is going to be. If you liked this video, please hit the like button so that I know you enjoyed it, and I will aim to do more videos of this format. Obviously, I'm not going to finish a sketchbook that often, but you know, it helps me to know what kinds of videos people enjoy watching. And if you have any comments or anything, please let me know in the comments section. If you like this video, then please subscribe. I've got another sketchbook tour coming out next Friday, and we're going to be doing some art challenges and some other cool stuff. So there's lots coming up, and I'm really excited about it. This month is going to be super busy, so stay tuned. So, as always, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week.